Is there ever a time when Christians should employ civil, peaceful disobedience to the government? And if so, when? That's a good question, and we desperately need to get to the bottom of it, wouldn't you say? Here's what Peter writes. For the Lord's sake, in other words, for His reputation, His name, submit to all human authority, whether the king as head of state, or whoever our head of state is, or the officials that He's appointed, so governors and mayors and police officers, whoever comes from the head of state. For the king has sent them to punish those who do wrong and to honor those who do right. It's God's will that your honorable lives should silence those ignorant people who make foolish accusations against you. For you are free, yet you're God's slaves. So don't use your freedom as an excuse to do evil. Respect everyone. Love the family of believers. And now here's the great summary. Fear God, respect the king. Fear God, respect the governing officials who rule over you. Christians are to be the most peaceful, most dignified, most honorable, law-abiding citizens in any community, period, hands down. And yet, Christ's first followers understood that to be His loyal subjects, this isn't our home, that is. And if we're here, we are going to obey a higher court of law. And sometimes that will mean always giving respect to the king, but fearing God. Always respecting the king, but fearing God. There are times when Christians must disobey the government in order to obey God. When they saw the boldness, Peter just told them, there is salvation in no other name, and you crucified that one. When they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were uneducated common men, they were astonished. And here it is. Look, they recognized you've been with Jesus. Time out for just a second. You have to remember how these Jewish authorities looked at Jesus. They saw Him as the most dangerous outlaw that had ever come into Jerusalem. The most dangerous outlaw. And so because they saw Him that way, they executed Him as an act of corporal punishment. And now they thought they'd gotten rid of the outlaw, but now they have these band of faithful followers that were continuing the outlaw's message. You have to think like that. They recognized those are His associates. When they label someone as a danger to the state, the Jewish state, those who follow Him are also a danger to the state. That's how they're seeing this. Continuing. But seeing the man who was healed standing beside them, they had nothing to say in opposition. When they had commanded them to leave the council, they conferred with one another, saying, what are we going to do with these men? For that a notable sign has been performed through them is evident to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. We can't deny it. The guy's standing right here. But in order that it may spread no further. It what? That what may spread? These new ideas that are stirring up the people? What are they? Think this through. What are they trying to squelch here? In order that it may spread no further among the people, let us warn them to speak no more to anyone in this what, church? Say it. Name. There's something about this name. It's the name of Jesus that set them apart and labeled them as outlaws, enemies of the state. And it's the name that sets us apart as belonging to a higher kingdom and a higher king. We are possessors of a name. If you openly confess, I am a Christ follower, you bear the label of a name of a man who was executed. And it only took him 3 years to be hated. This name that you bear, listen to me, even if you're imprisoned for it, even if it costs you your life to be a possessor of this name and lose your life, let me tell you, that's a great trade. What you are in possession of is of far greater value even than your own life. Just as Peter and John were told, no longer speak in that name. That's hate speech. You're going to stir things up and we won't have it. When you start seeing Facebook, YouTube, certain types of speech become illegal, know that something's happening, that we're heading down a trajectory that is, listen to these two words separated, anti-Christ. We're heading in that's the trajectory when you start censoring what people are allowed to say. The second sign you should start looking for when a nation is just heading in that direction is when they start to censor thoughts. You have to understand what we just read there, that Peter and John had not been trained in traditional rabbinical thought. These were uneducated men, you read that there? Common folk. They had no training in the Scriptures. That's when they recognized, you've been with Jesus. Those ideas that outlaw came and spread, he was constantly contradicting our rabbinical way of teaching. We're the ones who trained the people how to think. And this outlaw came in and told us everything we were teaching was wrong. And he reinterpreted the law. And now these people are coming and teaching people these dangerous ideas. We need to censor these ideas because what will happen if everybody starts believing those new ideas and following this Jesus? Well, we'll be out of a job. And so when you start to see governments censoring ideas, those ideas are dangerous and these ideas are approved. These websites are allowed and those websites are not. Know that the trajectory is going in an anti-Christ trajectory. Third, censorship of attitudes, beliefs, and morals. When a government starts telling you, we will tell you what is right and what is wrong, that government is playing God. God tells us what is right and what is wrong, and we will obey what God's standard is. Just because a government legalizes something doesn't make it right in the sight of God.